Hi everybody. So today I am coming to you from France, which is a country best known for having a bunch of poop on the ground. But luckily I won't be here for long because I am about to start a week-long hike across the entire country of Switzerland. This town is a small town called St. Louis. France has their own St. Louis, it turns out. And it is right next to the border with both Switzerland and Germany. So I will soon be crossing the border into Switzerland, which will bring me to the city of Basel. I should mention that it is already almost 5 p.m. So this is kind of day 0 of the challenge. I've already walked about 15 miles today doing other stuff. And then I will go around Basel a bit this evening, and then from there I will go to my Airbnb. I spent the last week going around Switzerland. I went to Lauterbrunnen, Interlaken, Lucerne, Bern. Those were all nice, but now is when the real adventure begins. I will walk all the way from Basel to the small country of Liechtenstein out in the east. So that'll be hopefully pretty fun. One thing I like about Switzerland is that you can fill up your water bottles in water fountains that look like this. Coming up on downtown Basel, and 1 mile down and only have about 100 something left to go. Here's what downtown Basel looks like, and it's got this big red building right there. One thing that's been a problem so far that I hope doesn't become a bigger problem is that the bottom of my backpack is making the bottom of my back itch a little bit. It's only very minor, but hopefully it stays that way. Check out this wall of art. You've got a hamster, and then you got a whole bunch of other stuff. Last summer, I walked across the Jutland Peninsula in Denmark. That was a lot shorter walk. It took only 2 days. But I learned some lessons from it, which is that you shouldn't walk 36 miles in one day. So this time I spaced out all my stops so that they're between 25 and 30 miles of walking between each other. You know, kind of liberally, because in reality, if I really took the shortest way there, it'd be about 20 miles each day, but I left myself a lot of wiggle room just in case. Well, here is Germany. Yeah, I'm gonna be leaving Switzerland for a bit. I promise if you look on the map, it makes sense why I'm cutting through Germany. But yeah, this is close to where I will be sleeping for tonight. And then the next, most of tomorrow I'll be in Germany as well. Actually, I take back what I said. Only a small part of tomorrow will be in Germany, and then I will be back in Switzerland again. My bad. This is by far the fattest squirrel I've ever seen. Looks like they're advertising the Garfield movie here, and he's eating apparently some lasagna, so that's in character. Well, I made it to the Airbnb. Excuse me. Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so I walked 26.6 miles today, and about 10 of them were like the actual path that I'm walking for this challenge, and the other 16 of them were before that. So yeah, time to rest, because I got a big day ahead of me. I just started my second day of walking. I started a little later than I would have liked to. It's currently like 8 o'clock right now. I didn't get much sleep because I was in a hot attic room, and I didn't realize that there was a fan I could have used. This is probably going to be the most brutal day of walking. It's supposed to get up to, I think, 90 degrees later today. But after that, all the other days should be more reasonable. I just got to a town called Rheinfelden. This will actually be my last part of the walk in Germany. Because from here, I'm going over to Switzerland to another town called Rheinfelden. I'm crossing the border right now back to Switzerland. So, goodbye Germany, and hello again Switzerland. I'm now in the Swiss Rheinfelden, and I just went to the pharmacy. I got two things that I really should have gotten sooner. I got blister band-aids, and I got Vaseline. It says lip care, but I'm hoping that it's good for chafing. I came across what appears to be a Swiss commune on the edge of town, and honestly, it looks pretty nice. I'm gonna pace myself a bit more than I did on my Denmark walk. On that first day of my Denmark walk, I walked about 20 miles before taking a break, which isn't a good idea. So today I've walked 8 miles so far, and now I'm just resting on a bench. I just ate a delicious pizza at this pizzeria. So if you're ever in a random village in Switzerland, I would recommend this place. I just want to give a shout out to trees. If you're listening, trees, I appreciate all the shade that you give me. As I'm walking along this dirt road, I'll tell you a travel story. A couple years back, I went to Bulgaria, and I landed in their capital city of Sofia shortly after midnight. And I thought that it would be a good idea to walk from the airport to my Airbnb downtown. It would be about an hour and a half walk. And so as I'm walking there, I see that there really aren't any streetlights in the part of town I'm in. And I was like, uh-oh, this is a bad idea. And then a taxi driver comes up to me and he says, hey, be careful, there are gypsies here. And I was thinking, hey man, they're called Roma, be nice. But anyway, so I was like, yeah, I'll be good. So I continued walking, and I heard something in the bushes, and I was like, oh shit, is this what he was warning me about? Well, turned out that was a huge dog, and luckily the huge stray dog didn't attack me. It just nicely walked past me. But as I walked through that part of town, there were a bunch of angry dogs that were huge, but luckily they were all behind fences. So I guess the moral of the story is that I am not racist against Roma people. One of the reasons why I chose Switzerland as a country to walk across is because they have trails pretty much everywhere. Either like this or on the side of the road that, you know, they have a sidewalk or something like that. And I was only able to find that out through Google Maps and their street view. So shout out to Google. A lot of the walk so far has been next to the Rhine River, which is quite a bit higher than it normally is, apparently. And that is because it has been raining a lot here. I just missed it by about 2 seconds, but that little guy over there just sneezed. So let's see if he does it again. So for most travelers, Switzerland can be a pretty expensive place to visit, but that doesn't always have to be the case. For starters, instead of going to restaurants to eat, you can just buy a bunch of baguettes. So this will be the first baguette of this journey, and there will be several others. I dropped my baguette, but I ate it anyway. And now my stomach is making weird noises. I'm resting on a bench. I'm about 3 miles away from the Airbnb. I have walked 50,000 steps so far today. Gonna do another 6,000 more or so. And it reminds me of a new genre of YouTube video that I found where people walk 100,000 steps in one day. And I think all of those people are liars. I found a bus stop that has its own library, and I think that's awesome. You know, the bus stop by my house only has a masturbating guy. Well, it's now the next morning. I got a good night of sleep, and this is where I slept. This was surprisingly affordable. Looks like today is going to be a better day than yesterday was. The weather is, it's not cold, but it's definitely a lot cooler than it was yesterday morning. And on top of that, I don't have to walk as far today. I've been noticing a lot of slugs on my walk. So if you're a fan of slugs, come to Switzerland. I've been playing some Pokemon Go during my walk, and I just freed 6 Pokemon from a Pokestop who had been stuck there for a year. So that is my good deed for the day. Check out this view. So there's no good way to say this, but my nipples hurt, so I gotta put some Vaseline on them. I didn't record it, but yesterday there was a part of a trail that I was walking on where the cows got up to maybe like 2 feet away from me. And that's the most scared that I've ever been of cows. But luckily these guys are all the way over there. I want to give another shout out to the old Swiss lady that I just sat on a bench with for 5 minutes. I couldn't understand a word that she was saying, but she seemed lovely. I have another story to tell. Back in the 80s, there was an electronic duo who called themselves the Dust Brothers. And then another electronic duo came along, and they were like, hey, we like your music. We're going to call ourselves the Dust Brothers. And so the original Dust Brothers were like, hey, fuck you. And the second Dust Brothers were like, come on, please. And the original Dust Brothers were like, no, you gotta change it. And so the second Dust Brothers then renamed themselves the Chemical Brothers. And so that's where the Chemical Brothers come from. I just realized that I have a big ass storm cloud behind me. So I'm walking briskly to the next town before it gets to me. One piece of travel advice I have is if you do go to Europe, don't just stay with the big cities, because if you go to like random small towns like this, even those are fun to explore, and they're like no tourists, so that's pretty cool. I mean, check this out. This isn't like Paris. This is just some Swiss town, and it's totally cool. Plus, it's a lot cheaper. By the way, that advice also applies to Japan. I know that everyone who goes to Japan goes to Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka. But I would say that the countryside and other towns are like maybe even better. And that's why I'm thinking of doing Japan as my next walk. I found a slab of concrete next to the road to rest on for a bit. So now I'm watching the clouds. I haven't really walked that far today, only about 22 miles, but I've been resting a lot. I'm thinking I'm gonna soak my feet in some warm water tonight. Hopefully that'll make them feel better. Well, it is now the next morning, as well as the first day in July. Today I will be walking across Zurich, and then going a bit further from there. But yeah, so I took a bath, and I'm hoping that that will make it so my feet are better today. But I'm also hoping to go to a pharmacy and seeing if there's anything I can put in my shoes to help, you know, with the arch support. You may be wondering, hey, is he just re-wearing the same 2 Hawaiian shirts every day? And yes, I am. Just bought my breakfast. This is baguette number 2. I'm currently walking through Zurich, and so far I've been to 2 different, what do you call them, pharmacies. And unfortunately, neither one of them has any of that Dr. Scholl's stuff in stock. So I'm gonna continue my search. Right now I'm walking through the touristy part of Zurich, and I just got these foot masks, I think they're called. And I have no idea how well they're actually gonna work, but they were only like $7, so I'll give them a shot. A few years ago, I was visiting South Korea. I climbed up a mountain, and at the top of it, there was a middle-aged guy. He knew a bit of English, so we were talking for a little bit. He was telling me about his family, you know, his life with his wife and his kids. And then he asked me if I wanted to drink some coffee with him, and I was like, no thanks. And then he asked me for my number. I was like, oh shit. So I gave him a fake number. And then he was like, hey, what hotel are you staying in? And I was like, I don't remember. That was my time in South Korea. There was a woman walking 4 dogs at the same time, and she came up to me and she was like, hey, can you take a picture of me so I can show all my friends that I can walk 4 dogs at the same time? So I took her picture, and then I was like, hey, can I also take a picture of your dogs? So now I have a picture of that woman's 4 adorable dogs. The weather today has been really nice, but unfortunately it says that it's gonna rain in about 2 hours, and I am more than 2 hours away from today's Airbnb. Hopefully I won't get too wet. I looked back at my schedule for this walk, and I saw that tomorrow is actually going to be by far my worst day in terms of distance, and I'm really not happy about that. Tomorrow's going to fucking suck. So I've given some more thought about tomorrow. I think tomorrow morning I'm gonna wake up like really early, like maybe like around 5 a.m. and then just leave from there. I need to give myself as much time as possible to heal from all the walking that I'll be doing. Yeah, it's like gonna be like a couple hours more than even the other day. And also there's some rain coming. Luckily, I found somewhere to hide for the rain, although I don't know if this is private property or not. And I know that the Swiss have guns, so hopefully I don't get shot. It is now 6 a.m. of the next day. This is the beginning of Hell Day. Luckily, I don't have to go exactly as far as I thought yesterday. because I did look at the map and I noticed that there is like a little bit of a shortcut that I can take, but it's still going to be over 30 miles of walking today. And on top of that, I have a pretty bad blister on my right foot. Most of today is going to be either flat or downhill until the last like hour or so, in which I will be walking up a mountain in order to get to my Airbnb. The reason today is going to suck so much is because I reserved all my Airbnbs ahead of time. I looked for the cheapest, ones on the route because, otherwise I'd be paying a lot for this. And my original plan was to go with an Airbnb that would have cut this time, down to a reasonable length, and split all the days kind of evenly. But that one fell through, so I had to reserve one that was further away instead. But I guess the silver lining to that is that tomorrow won't suck nearly as badly. For those of you keeping score, this is baguette number 3. In the time that I've been here, I've noticed that Swiss people are actually pretty chill. But with that having been said, I did just see a sign that had the N-word spray painted on it. For all the bitching that I've done about today, at least this is what my view is going to look like. So check this shit out. I don't think that this actually means what I think it means, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Well, it's now noon, and I think I'm making pretty good pace. I've walked 15 miles so far today, and that puts me at a little under halfway there, I believe. And beyond that, I have a restaurant coming up. And normally I go for fast food, but looks like I'm stuck with a real restaurant this time. I think I'm scaring some of the locals on this trip. Sometimes when I lie down on a bench, people will look at me and they'll think like, oh shit, that's the first homeless guy we've ever seen. Little do they know that I'm walking across their country. When I was visiting Chile, I was sitting on a beach and there were 2 dogs and they started having sex with each other. And then the guy dog afterwards started having sex with another dog. And then maybe a couple minutes after that, it started having sex with the first dog again. That's my travel story of the day. I'm about 27 miles in so far for today, and considering everything, today really hasn't been too bad up until this point. But with that being said, my feet are really fucking starting to hurt, and I'm looking for a bench, and I'm hoping I find one. Check it out. Part of my walk involves walking through this tunnel. This is a nice tunnel. Penis. Boobs. The next several miles of the walk will be along this lake. I've got about 1 mile left until I get to my Airbnb. I've walked 30-something miles today, and the last few of those have been through the rain. But everything considered, I'm feeling all right. This hike up to the Airbnb is awful. It's like a 20% incline, and it's been like that for, I don't know, maybe like a third of a mile. I'm almost at the top, but like, holy shit, what a way to end the day. I just had a good night of sleep, or at least until the chickens woke me up. But overall, I feel very well rested, and I will continue on with a relatively short day. I've got a little bad news and good news. The bad news is that when I went to the grocery store, they did not have any baguettes. So that is bad news. But the good news is that the town that's coming up in a few miles has a pizza shop that has pretty cheap pizzas. So that was honestly kind of terrifying. I was walking along the path and saw that there's a huge area of construction, as you can see behind me. And unfortunately, this is the only path that I could possibly take that's anywhere near here. So if that was closed off, then I would have been fucked, but luckily it wasn't. Overall, I've had good luck not getting blisters, but that luck's finally changed. I have a sizable blister on my right heel now. That's causing me to limp along at less than 3 miles an hour. So luckily I am nearing the end of this run, or this walk rather, and I don't have any really demanding days left. I'm a little surprised that I haven't seen any other tourists around here. This place looks a lot like Lauterbrunnen, which is a very touristy area on the other side of Switzerland. So I guess if you want to be a travel hipster, you can come here instead. There's actually an episode of Family Guy where Stewie and Brian have kids together. I was thinking about that. I'm like, did I hallucinate that episode, or is it real? But no, it is a real episode. Earlier I was trying to sleep on a bench, but a fly kept buzzing around my head. And then I tried sleeping on another bench, and then another fly kept buzzing around my head. And then I tried sleeping on a third bench, and then a bumblebee kept buzzing around my head. So just like the last 2 evenings, it is now raining again. Earlier my feet were just absolutely destroyed. So while it was raining, like really bad, I went over to a cafe and rested there for an hour, and now they are all good. I just made it to the town of Wartau, and this is where I will be staying after a surprisingly difficult day. And this town is actually right across the border from Liechtenstein, so that is where I will be going tomorrow. It is now the last day of my walk, and I feel great. My feet are actually doing pretty fine, and I only have not too much walking to do today. So yeah, let's do it. I've got another baguette in my hands, and now it is time to cross over into Liechtenstein. It's about halfway through this bridge, so I'll just film the whole thing. Well, now I've done it. I've officially walked across Switzerland, but now it's time to walk through a bonus country. That's right, I'm walking across Liechtenstein. There are a number of YouTubers who've walked across Liechtenstein in a day as part of one of their videos. And that's because it takes only about 5 hours to walk across Liechtenstein from end to end. Right now I am at the southern end of Liechtenstein, and today I will walk across it as sort of a victory lap and then end up in Austria. Here's an interesting fact about Liechtenstein. So not only is it a landlocked country, but both of the countries that border it are also landlocked, which means that Liechtenstein is a double landlocked country. And the only other country in the world that is double landlocked is Uzbekistan. And this is just one of the many things that Liechtenstein and Uzbekistan have in common. I just made it to the capital of the country, Vaduz. It is only 9:30 and I've already explored like half the country already. Remember, if you're going to be walking long distances, you should make sure that you always have enough to eat. And that is why I just went to McDonald's and ate 5 cheeseburgers in a row. One time I was in Peru and this guy came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, you got to be careful in this neighborhood. You know, white people get robbed here." And I was like, "Oh shit, thanks for letting me know." And then he was like, "Yeah, you know, people come up to you and act all nice to you and invite you into their house. Then before you know it, you're getting stabbed. And then they're taking your credit card and using it." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's not good." And then we were talking a little bit more. And then he was like, "Hey, so you wanna come into my house? I got some bitches." And then I declined his offer. Well, I'm taking a little rest right now. I am a little less than a mile away from the border with Austria, which will mark the end of my walk across Switzerland and Liechtenstein. And after having explored Liechtenstein for the day, I can say that this is a beautiful little country. You know, it is true what they say. Great things really do come in small packages. Here we go. Here's the finish line. I'm done. I'm done walking. Fuck walking.